everyone, welcome to Little Lovers channel. Today we are going to discuss about Chaucer. Has a very great writer, as we all know that. There is a lot of things that we should discuss about going to discuss in this video. So please do watch and please do subscribe to the channel. And let's go through the important points about the Chaucer. Chaucer period is between the 1340 to 1400. He was probably in London, and he captured by the French during the Brittany expeditions in 1359, but was ransomed by the king. Later, Edward III sent him to the France, and he also traveled to the Genoa and Florence. Around 366, Chaucer married Philippa Roti, a lady in waiting in the Queen household. Philippa's sister, Catherine Swanford, later became the third wife of John of Gaunt. In 1374, Chaucer was appointed as a comptroller of the lucrative London customs. In 1386, he was elected member of Parliament for Kent. Chaucer lived during the Edward III, Richard II, and Henry IV. He was the first poet to be buried in Westminster Abbey. Now it's known as the Poet's Corner. Matthew Arnold called him as the father of English poetry. In the legends of good man, the 9 legends are Cleopatra, Thisbe, Dido, Hypaspile, Medea, Lucre, Ariadne, Philomela, Phyllis, and Hypermnestra. Dryden rewrote the Canterbury Tales in modern English. And Chaucer is the first national poet of England. Dryden said about him as here is God's plenty. And another one, a rough diamond and must first be polished ere he shines. Boccaccio exercised a deep influence on Chaucer. On diplomatic mission, he was sent to Italy, where he met Petrarch and Boccaccio. He makes a clear reference of Petrarch in his Clerk's Tale. He is called as a father of English poetry and grandfather of English novel. He is also called as a morning star of song and morning star of Renaissance. So Arnold says about him as Chaucer lacks not only the accent of Dante but also the high seriousness. Chaucer is the first one to use octava rima, as was in the Book of Duchess. It's a 8-syllable couplet rhyme. And has first used a heroic couplet in the Legends of Good Women. So these things we need to keep in mind. Octava rima in the Book of the Duchess and heroic couplet in the Legends of Good Women. He first used the rhyme royal in Troilus and Cressida. It's a 10-syllable line. And Chaucer's Troilus and Cressida is a novel in verse. In the House of Fame, Chaucer resembles closest to Dante's Divine Comedy. William John Long called the prologue to the Canterbury Tales as the prologue to modern fiction because it's a realism. General prologue of the Canterbury Tales contains 858 lines. We are also going to discuss about his work, and let's go through it. The general plan of Canterbury Tales it's taken from the Boccaccio's Decameron. It's a very important point for the net. And in Canterbury Tales, the pilgrims could be seen going through the Thomas a bucket in the month of April. He gave a pen picture of 21 pilgrims in this work. And had Chaucer written in prose, it is possible his Troilus and Cressida and not Richard's Pamela would be celebrated as the first English novel. Period of Chaucer, that is the 1359 to 1372. During this period, Chaucer translated the Roman de la Rose, a French poem written during 1200. He also wrote his book of the Duchess, an elegiac poem that is shared much with the contemporary French poetry. And Chaucer's extensive reading of Latin poets such as Boethius also influenced his work. And this Roman de la Rose, as the story begins, an allegorical dream in which the narrator receives advice from the god of love on the gaining his lady's favor. Her love being symbolized by a rose. He is unable to get to the rose. Second fragment is a satire on the modes of the time with respect to courting, religious order, and religious hypocrisy. In the second fragment, the narrator is able to kiss the rose, but he is couldn't able to do this because of a jealousy. Builds a fortress. Third fragment translation is when the poem is 5,000 line. After the second fragment ends, at its beginning, the god of love is planned to attack the fortress of jealousy, in which his barons, with his barons. The rest of the fragment is a confession given by a false semblant. It means false seeming, which is a treatise on the ways in which men are false to one another, especially the clergy to their parishioners. The third fragment ends with false semblant going to the fortress of jealousy in the disguise of a religious pilgrimage. He speaks with wicked tongues, that is, holding one of the gates of the fortress, and convinces him to repent his sin. The poem ends with false semblant absolving wicked tongue of his sins. So this is a Roman de la Rose. This next, the book of Duchess. I'm going to explain the story of this in a glimpse. Just look a glimpse on the story. So this book was written on the death of the Duchess Bletchley, who was the wife of John of Gaunt. She belongs to Lancaster. This book is an elegy and allegory in nature. It comprises 1,300 lines, and Chaucer used octavo rima for the first time in this book. The book of Duchess begins with a man who cannot sleep because he is overwhelmed with the dreams from past 8 years. And he feels that he might die of his insomnia. So it is a disease. So he asks his servant to bring him a book to read, which he calls a romance, a medieval European genre of literature, often about knights and their adventures and romances. He says that it's better to read than to play chess to try to fall asleep. He reads about a fictional king, Sykes, who sets sail for an adventure at sea and is drowned in a storm. The queen, Aliquan, waits for him to return, and when he doesn't, she grieves inconsolably, and she begs the goddesses Juno to let her see what happened to her husband, if only in a dream. She owes to give her total devotion to the goddesses if she grant her wish. The goddesses causes Aliquan to fall into a deep sleep and summons Morphones, the god of sleep, to go find the king on the ocean floor, inhabited his body, and make him appear to Aliquan in a dream, so that she sees that he has drowned. He does so, and Aliquan dies of grief 3 days later. The narrator of the poem figures that if God helps Alcuin fall asleep and dream, maybe a god would do the same for him. He sends a plea up to the gods that he will reward them with the most luxurious gold painted bedchamber, with a bed of the finest down, with covers embroidered with the finest threads of pure gold, if they will help him sleep. He immediately falls asleep and has a vivid dream. First, the narrator hears the bird singing the sweetest symphony he ever heard. He is lying in a room whose walls have pictures of all the characters of the great European epic poems. For the entire story of Troy was wrought in the glasswork, those of Hector and of Priam and Achilles and of King Lamedon and also of Medea and of Jason. So, and all those walls are painted with fine colors, the entire romance of the rose, both text and the gloss. So, this is a story of the book of Duchess, and next, the Italian period will continue in a recording. So, thank you, and please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.